Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and hit record.
Are you ready, Candy?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 14th Personnel Commission meeting. The Personnel Commission is now holding in-person meetings at City Hall in Conference Room 2A. Members of the public can now attend meetings in person or virtually via the YouTube platform. Now, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now let's get started. Just for everybody to know, Commissioner Zargar requested to participate in tonight's meeting via Zoom under AB 2449 Brown Act teleconferencing rules based on just cause provision. So I believe is Commissioner Zargar out there somewhere?
I'm here.
We got you. Okay, we see you there. Okay, here we go. Candy, would you please take a roll call?
Yes, good evening, commissioners. As I read your name, please respond with here. Chair Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Zargar,
Here.
Commissioner Cortez,
Here.
Commissioner Edwards,
Here.
Commissioner Siddiqui, Commissioner Thompson, and Commissioner Wu. Thank you, Chair Wright. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Candy. It is now time for public comments. The Personnel Commission welcomes your comments and requests that speakers present their remarks in a respectful manner. Speakers wishing to address the Personnel Commission should limit their comments to 3 minutes. At the end of public comments, we will address any questions that come up. Do we have any public comments? I believe we don't have any comments. No public comments received. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Before we move on to the items on the agenda, I would like to share that we had 2 commissioners express interest in joining the Personnel Commission subcommittees. I am pleased to share that I have appointed Denise Thompson to the Personnel Rules Subcommittee, and I will be working on the Personnel Commission Reform Subcommittee. I'm excited to get started in this collaborative work and encourage any other commissioners that may be interested to reach out to myself or HR. The city, we were the only commission that the city budgeted to have this retreat for all of us. And Director Fry sent out an email for all of the commissioners to pick a subcommittee that they would like to participate. And disappointingly, we only had 2 commissioners volunteer. So I would like for people to give that some thought because there was an investment made in this. And we can check with Director Fry on if you can also participate via teleconferencing. So you wouldn't have to make a commitment out of your schedule to actually come and meet face to face. So please reconsider because we really to validate everything that we're doing in these subcommittees, and the meetings aren't really that long. I mean, I was in one, it was like 45 minutes and that was it. So I just invite you to maybe reconsider, and we'll ask if need be, reach out to Candy, and or we could have Director Fry resend that email for you to pick what subcommittee you would like to participate in and if we could do it remotely. Okay, thank you.
Sure, right, Matt. Just jump in and add a comment to what you just shared.
Sure, absolutely.
This is a really historic opportunity to shape what this commission will do for the history of the city. And so I really would want to encourage you to participate in one of these 2 subcommittees because the commission, the joke, I think, internally has been, a commission in search of a mission. We have some clearly defined terms here, but we're finding that it's not making the best use of all the talents that we bring to the table. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity to make civic history for the city of Hayward and make sure that it remains accountable to the residents like yourselves that it serves. So I just wanted to throw in that extra pitch, and then also a request for HR staff. Please CC me when there are these subcommittee meetings happening. Just if I'm available, I'd like to jump into a couple of them. Thank you.
I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
And I did receive the email. I probably didn't pay enough attention. Since there's so few people on the subcommittee, do they work with other committees or,
Well, the way it's working right now is, like if there's one person on a subcommittee, you
Yeah.
would be interfacing with Director Fry.
gotcha.
And if you want to meet in person and Councilman Syrup is available, he will participate as well.
Right, okay.
So like the meeting I had was with Director Fry. It was exactly just 45 minutes. You know, that was it. And we got everything done that needed to be done and accomplished. So the time frame, you know, it's not set, but
I see.
it's just, you know, there's not that many of us and there's, you know, we could probably ask Ian if Director Fry could maybe resend out that request because it did list what all the subcommittees were.
Absolutely. And you would be working with HR staff as well. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a commission member.
All right, good question.
Our heads for.
Oh, Commissioner Zargar? You had your
Yes.
hand up?
Two questions. One, if we decide to participate in the subcommittee, I mean, is this a little bit more informal in terms of the meeting schedule? Because I would totally sign up for it and do it. Otherwise, you know, it's just that I don't have like the bandwidth to sign on for something that's ongoing on a regular basis. Like I could go if I can go kind of thing. Obviously I'm appearing virtually now since my husband's flight was delayed and I'm the only other person in the house to watch my child right now. So obviously, and we have our day jobs and all of that. So I'd love to participate and offer, you know, my insight, but I don't know that I could do it on kind of a regular basis. First question. Second question, have we considered or can we consider maybe in the bylaws to have, you know, more seats on the Personnel Commission? I think there's opportunity for more people to get involved and the subject matter we're dealing with is expanding. And I think there could be, you know, more minds that, you know, we could engage and provide, you know, better support and better, you know, involvement in these subcommittees. You know, if we have one person on a subcommittee, is that really a subcommittee? I'm sorry, but I want to have more, although I personally can't do it, I want to have more people that could participate. And if that's enlarging our personnel committee so that we have more people available, maybe that's something we can consider.
Yeah, that's a good point because, you know, sometimes we kind of, you know, sweat out getting a quorum, you know, to have a meeting. So that's a valid point. And when it comes to the subcommittee meetings, very flexible. I mean, it goes back and forth. We get when staff is available, various days and times, and we let them know when we're available. And we just kind of get in alignment with what works for both of us. So it's not one-sided for that. So the subcommittee meetings, it's the flexibility based on both parties' availability. And yes, sometimes it's one person on a subcommittee meeting with staff, but yeah, we are limited to what we're doing. But point well taken. Thank you, Commissioner Zargar.
Of course.
Commissioner Thompson.
Is there an amount of people that can be on the different committees? I mean, as far as the personnel commission, is there a set amount?
There's a limit,
Yeah, limit.
so we don't want to quorum. So it's 3 or less for the subcommittees,
Okay.
And for the commission size itself, the council would work with staff to decide if it's time to expand the
The
commission.
Personnel Commission.
The Personnel Commission, yeah. So recently we, I think, decreased the size of the Keep Hayward Clean Green Task Force because they were having the opposite problem where they couldn't make quorum and there was a lot of people on it. So they wanted to focus the group a bit more. So that's a discussion I'm happy to have with the council and see what their appetite is for it.
Thank you, Councilman Syrup. Any other questions regarding this?
All right. I believe Assistant City Manager Youngblood has her hand up.
Okay, you know, someone's got to help me at this. I keep forgetting to look up here for hands up. I'm sorry for not recognizing that.
No,
Assistant City Manager Youngblood.
thank you so much. I think Councilmember Syrup addressed what I was going to say about increasing the size of the commission. I do want to let everyone know that the council will be having a work session on April the 16th to talk about boards and commissions and how they align with priorities for the organization. I will say that most commissions are the size of 7. One of our larger task force is the Keep Hayward Clean and Green Task Force that has 20 members, and the only other large commission that we have is Community Services Commission at 17, and there's some discussion about bringing that size possibly down. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on your radar, that we will be having those conversations. One other thing to know is that in the last updating of the council members handbook and the appointed persons handbook, now bylaws of any commission need to be reviewed and approved by city council. Most commissions don't actually have bylaws. There are no bylaws currently for the personnel commission. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions regarding this? So with council would have to determine what the capacity size, and I do know that, you know, we're all here, we're all present, all 7 of us, you know, that there are times when, you know, we work late, even with 7 of us, we get tied down with a lot of details here. So, you know, whatever the limit capacity could be, you know, whether it be, you know, 10 or 12, I mean, the larger the group, the more detail it can get. Councilman Cyrus knows that, right? Exactly right. All right. Any other questions regarding this? Great. Okay, now we're gonna go on to the first item is approval of the minutes from December. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting held on December 7th, 2023? I will make a motion to approve the minutes. Can I have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Wu to second the minutes for the December 7th, 2023 meeting. I will now ask Candy to do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar,
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Siddiqui,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to approve the minutes was made by Chair Wright and seconded by Commissioner Wu. The motion carries with 7 ayes. The minutes are approved. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thank you, Candy. Let's move on to reports. Item 2 is an informational item. In your packet, you have the proposed fiscal year 2024 agenda planning calendar, which lists the items that staff plans to bring to the commission. Are there any questions? I have one question, of course. I'll ask Deputy Director Texan. On Thursday, June 13th, it says non-scheduled future agenda items. Does that mean June 13th, we will have the nepotism policy update and the hiring diversity report? Or is this just going to be in movement that it's just going to be moved on to the following meeting? Or is it being scheduled for June 13th?
We can consider that section a whole separate section. So it's not necessarily slated for June 13th, but we have it as an earmark to say we need to bring it back to you.
Okay, so we're hoping maybe it could be,
If we have updates at that time, we will definitely bring it to you.
okay, and then if not, it would be noted.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions regarding this? And Commissioner Zargar, you can help me on this too. Like, I can't see that far to see the little hand up. So if you have anything to say to the meeting, go ahead and throw it up there and I can see it, all right?
I will.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman Cyrus.
Just a point of clarification, the other non-scheduled agenda items is hiring diversity report. I believe we've already received a hiring diversity report. The request was around, retention and maybe diversity across departments. So it's not just about the hiring, it's about staffing.
Well, the hiring, it wasn't hiring, it was based on applicants.
Oh, that was based on
Okay,
applicants.
based on applicants.
Understood.
And
I wanna make
we
sure I
don't
don't
see it on hiring.
Okay, got it. I also just don't want to exclude, retention as well as part of that conversation.
It'd be hiring and retention diversity report.
Yeah.
Got that?
Deputy
Director, thank you.
And just another clarification for myself, you mentioned those 2 subcommittees. Would it be possible when sending out the reminders to the commissioners to define those subcommittees for us again? What were the 2? You're on one of your own.
I don't know the exact titles of them, but I know I'm on one.
Okay, well, I rest my case. Like, do we just
Yeah.
clarify?
So the one that Chair Wright is on is.
That's a
looking
trick
at
question.
overall what the role of the commission is.
Okay.
And that, Chair Thompson is on, is looking at the personnel commission rules.
Okay. Rules and roll. Okay,
You've got me on that one.
that's my intention.
That's your got you. All right, okay. Do you have any other questions regarding the agenda planning calendar? All right, seeing no more questions, we'll now move on to action items. Just a reminder to the commissioners that staff will begin by presenting the agenda item. Once they are finished, if commissioners have questions or comments on the item, please raise your hand. I will then call on commissioners. Let's get started with our first action item this evening. Item 3 is to abolish the Shelter Volunteer Coordinator Employment Register eligible list. Presenting today is Selena Flores. Welcome. Human Resources Manager. Selena, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Wright and Commissioners. Tonight, I will be presenting item number 3, which is a request to abolish the Shelter Volunteer Coordinator Register eligible list. After the presentation, Jenny Comstock, Animal Services Administrator, will be available to answer any specific questions you may have. So I'll get started. Wanted to give you a background on the last recruitment that we did for this position. The recruitment was initiated in November of 2023. The eligible list with 8 candidates was established on December 1st, 2023. All 8 candidates were considered for the position. There was a selected candidate who withdrew after initiating the pre-employment process. So we'd like to reopen the recruitment, and HR is working closely with the operating department to identify new ways to increase steps in the recruitment process that will help attract a larger pool of qualified candidates the next time we open the recruitment. More specific details about this request are outlined in the staff report, and that concludes my presentation. Please let us know if you have any questions, and I'll hand it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thank you, Selena. Are there any? We have questions already. Commissioner Thompson.
So you're going to abolish the list, but do you have candidates still on there? Because you said 8 were considered for the position. So why are you gonna create a new list if you have those candidates? Because are those candidates gonna be aware that they're no longer eligible for the position, or how are you going to communicate to those candidates that were considered?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. So the eligible list that was established had 8 candidates on it, and all of the 8 candidates were contacted for an initial interview by the department. And for various reasons, some candidates didn't follow up or they withdrew from the process. So we had one candidate that was offered the position. The person withdrew, and therefore everybody's been contacted already. And so we've exhausted the eligible list.
So the 8 are like gone.
Yeah, we've exhausted.
Okay, totally exhausted.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Selena on this? All right, there's no more questions. The public is now invited to comment on this item. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak on this item. Any public comments? Nope, don't have any in
No
there.
public comments.
Okay, seeing there's no questions or comments, may I have a motion on this item? Okay, Commissioner Cortez, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mind freeze here. Commissioner Cortez made a motion on this. May I have a second?
I second.
Commissioner Thompson has made a second. A motion to abolish the Shelter Volunteer Coordinator Employment Register eligible list was made by Commissioner Cortez and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. Andy, could you please do a roll call vote?
Thank you. I will now move to a roll call vote. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright.
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar.
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson. And Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to abolish the Shelter Volunteer Coordinator Employment Roster or eligible list was made by Commissioner Cortez and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. The motion carries with 7 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thanks again, Candy. Let's move on to the next action item on the agenda. Item number 4 is to abolish the Animal Care Attendant Employment Register eligible list. Presenting today is Salinas Flores, Human Resources Manager. Selena.
All right, so thank you again, Chair Wright and Commissioners. Tonight, I will be presenting item number 4, which is a request to abolish the Animal Care Attendant Register eligible list. So to give you background on this recruitment, it was initiated in May of 2023. The eligible list was established with 5 candidates in October of 2023. All 5 candidates were considered for the position. However, for various reasons, a selection was not made. Staff will continue to work diligently with the operating department with the goal of increasing efficiencies in the recruitment process to fill the current full-time vacancies. I also have Jenny Comstock, Animal Services Administrator, available to answer any questions you may have about this item. This concludes my presentation, and I'll turn it back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Selena. I have a question. Out of the 5 candidates, I mean, nobody was qualified for that position?
So for this particular position, there were various reasons that they also withdrew.
Oh, they withdrew.
Some withdrew. Let's see. So they were all 5 were contacted and considered for the interview. 2 candidates withdrew from the interview process due to personal reasons. 1 did not show for the interview. 1 did not respond to the request to schedule an interview within the required time frame. And the one person was interviewed but not selected.
Wow. All right.
So any more questions about this?
Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, mine's just similar. Does considered have varying meanings, or is it like you looked at the application or they interviewed, or does it depend on what the role is, or like what does considered usually entail?
Okay, so in this case, it means that all applicants that made it to the eligible list were invited to interview.
Okay.
Yes,
So pretty much all of the candidates met the MQs.
right. They went through the testing process, made it to the eligible list, were referred out to the department for the selection interview, and were considered during that process.
Commissioner Cortez.
My question is, so there was, I guess, a 5-month continuous recruitment, so it was just continuous until you received enough applicants to go over? And if that's the case, and if that's standard 5 months, do we feel that maybe that might have been too long in order to, reach out to ones, maybe they got a job already, or maybe they got called back by someone else? Have we considered maybe shortening that time?
That's a great question, Commissioner Cortez. So with this particular case, this was an animal care attendant per diem / full-time position. And if I can, Janice, she actually ran the recruitment and she's our HR analyst. She can explain more about the process that took place with this position. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So yes, for this particular recruitment, I will say that we do get, while we do get plenty of people that apply, we have very few that meet minimum qualifications. Because one of this is they have to have 6 months of professional animal handling experience. Most people are applying because I have a pet, I've had a pet my whole life. And so a lot of people fall off surprisingly. And then because we mix the per diems in the batch for this recruitment, we were getting a lot of people that were kind of I don't want to say it's because of per diem, but we were just getting people that weren't necessarily following through with the recruitment process. Like we would invite them, but we wouldn't necessarily have that many people actually testing. And so I do kind of think that sometimes while it's hard for us to kind of gather all the applicants to get a worthwhile kind of testing, I do agree that shortening the process will help. So I think, once we reconvene and we really try to, make the recruitment more efficient, we can work together with the department as well to kind of reinvent the wheel and make the recruitment really worth it and get the applicants, get the engagement, and really speak to the position. So yes, I think shortening that process and also it's just going to be kind of it's just going to be a lot of effort that we're going to have to put in, but make sure that we can be very intentional in our posting.
So I have a quick question. I'm like navigating between the minutes or the packet and the screen, but what is the salary for this position?
Let me look at it, but it is a great point because it's in the 20s. 1 second, let me pull that up.
I would imagine it's not, I guess my point being, I imagine it's not very high, right? So the shortening the process, because I would imagine there's probably a lot of people that technically could qualify. And in that income range, which I assume is low, but you should confirm, there's a lot of candidates that are going, they need the income. And so if they're sitting and waiting, they're going to take something else because that's just the nature of living in the Bay Area, unfortunately. So I think this position, other positions in which are kind of, a lower threshold and candidates are living in the Bay Area, paying standard of living costs here, there needs to be a more streamlined and efficient way. We shouldn't have to be abolishing these lists all the time. We should be, really casting our net wide and far. So to the extent, I don't know, like is the city of Hayward utilizing a recruitment program or a program that's like software, like Indeed, like across all job platforms that would make this faster, easier, better? I'm throwing things out there.
We do post on Indeed as well. So that is one of our avenues, in addition to CalOps, government jobs, and various other networks, depending on the classification. But to answer the question, the starting range for animal care attendant is $28.20, with the top step being $33.51. So that's the range.
Janice, also, wouldn't you know, not you personally, but wouldn't the department know immediately if an applicant is qualified once they read the application? And this way they would have an active list of those people who are qualified, as opposed to having a group of people that you don't know are collectively qualified, when you can just read that application. Yeah, they're qualified. They're going to be on the list. Let's have this list open for 30 days only. And, maybe that'll kind of shorten that time.
Yes, but there are also different evaluation steps along the way for the recruitment process. So for this one here, there was a written examination, also a supplemental question review. So there was a kind of a two-step evaluation step, or two parts of the process, correct?
I think our subject matter expert has her hand up, Jenny Comstock, if you wanted to add something in.
Oh, okay. Got a hand up there, then Comstock. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. If I might just add onto what Janice was saying and answer some of the question about the length of time it was open. This was the first time that the per diem and the full-time was combined. And so I think that contributed to the amount of time that it was open, because we were still recruiting for per diem. So that's why there's some applicants who may have applied earlier and were being reviewed for per diem. And then during that time, we had filled our full-time vacancy, but still had it open for per diem. So I think it created some confusion between the when people were applying, whether they're applying for available for full-time, or some were applying under a per diem but really wanted full-time. So I think going forward, we are keeping those separate, I believe. And I think that will help with any confusion from people who are applying and help keep it streamlined.
Yes, this
Thank you.
recruitment request is for a full-time animal care attendant. And then I just wanted to mention some of the barriers that are there for attracting these candidates. Is there's a euthanasia part of the job.
Right. We discussed that last
And then
week.
there's the background check.
Yes.
So some candidates, I think, start going through the pre-employment and then may withdraw for various reasons.
Right. Now that euthanasia came up in our description.
Right.
Right. Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, just a question about the test. What type of test is it? And then also just like personal experience. I don't know if it's allowed, but I have a friend who qualified for a role and she couldn't make the one day of the test. She has a baby and it wasn't the day and time. She couldn't fit it. So I think she just couldn't go ahead with the process. And she's gotten swooped up by another company because she's really talented. But I wonder if that's something you'll look into, because it was, I think, like one day that she couldn't make, and then it was like, okay, I guess she doesn't qualify anymore. So I'm wondering if there's an area there that we could look at so that, to Commissioner Zargar's point, we don't have to keep doing this.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm gonna let Janice also speak to this. She's ran some of the tests in the past, so she can tell us about all the different components that are involved.
Yeah, the good news about this position is if somebody kind of can't make it through for an examination, we do ask that they, if it is a continuous recruitment and there's various steps that they miss, we do ask them to reapply. If it is something that we can change or accommodate, like a retest, we will do so. But in doing so, we also have to kind of balance out if the efficiencies, because for instance, this examination sometimes takes the whole examination for the written can take about 2 hours, and sometimes I'm testing 5 people, and so to do that again for one other person, it's kind of a balance, and we need to keep it consistent. So while I would love to do so, it's kind of a fine line. And so depending on how many, if the position is open until filled, or it's a continuous recruitment, that position hasn't been filled, it depends on, and depending on what they cannot complete, then we do ask them to reapply, or we can try and do an accommodation if possible.
That's a great point to bring up, though, because that is one of those hidden barriers to entry, right? If you're not available, that's something that our staff would like to look at in the long run. How do we isolate what those hidden barriers are and just open up opportunities as much as possible? One way to do that would just be offering multiple different types of testing. It's not possible for every recruitment, and depending on the urgency of the need, but that's something that we're exploring. So thank you for bringing that up.
I had a neighbor, I think their child was applying for the city, and it was like one test date only at this particular time, and there was no other option. And I think what you're exploring is going to be beneficial to maybe have 2 test dates, because it was just like, she showed me the letter. It was like, this is it, and that's all we're going to offer you, this one day. So I think I applaud the city for looking at that, because you're going to get, I think, retain some good people this way.
Yeah.
Good people, they're working this maybe around another job, and they're looking to make a change. Thank you. Commissioner Cortez.
I don't know who's
No,
first.
go ahead.
But
You're
my
closest to
question
me.
is, so I know the jobs were posted on different, the job was posted on different platforms. But also I wonder if we've considered reaching to local shelters, to talk to volunteers, like even our own volunteers. I wouldn't, they're not hired, they're just volunteering. So I wouldn't say that there would be like a conflict of interest. But reaching out, to the city of Oakland, to Fremont, and just saying, hey, this is the job that we have going on right now. Maybe share it with your volunteers if they're interested, because they already are gaining that experience that we're looking for in candidates.
That's a great question. So that is part of our strategy, is revamping our advertising on social media. And I'll let Jenny talk about some of the suggestions that she has.
Yeah, thank you. And we do typically, as the shelter administrator, I will send it out to neighboring agencies. And so we generally will share postings. So that does get out there. And then historically, we've actually hired, some of our volunteers have applied for positions, either per diem or full-time. So we definitely share it with our volunteers as well. And so we do send that out. We ask that, local shelters, that they do share it. We do post it on different various social media groups that are animal welfare related, to try and get candidates that way. But there are some other platforms, that we can try, that are specific, animal welfare associations, professional groups, veterinary groups we reach out to as well, groomers. So we try to kind of have a broad, area, just kind of a variety of areas to post in, to try and get some more people that have that professional experience coming in.
Thank you.
A quick question.
Councilman Sarver.
Just hearing that the euthanasia requirement was something that folks found to be unexpected as part of the process, is there a way that we can highlight some of those kind of natural filters earlier on in maybe the job description, just so folks aren't wasting staff time applying if they're not really, you know, they might not have the stomach for that specific role or responsibility?
We did actually speak to it in the last, when we brought up the kind of the concern about the euthanasia folks kind of falling off, you know, in the process for that. So yes, for this posting, we did actually I don't want to say highlight, but we did mention it earlier in the, or, you know, kind of higher in the recruitment. But then we also mentioned like the benefits and the rewards of the position to kind of, you know, put that kind of,
Understood.
yeah.
Great.
We did try to highlight, and then we also mentioned, I believe in the supplemental questions, kind of stating like, you know, this position you will have exposure to that, you know, something acknowledging that. And so we did what we can without trying to scare them away.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And then just another follow-up is to Commissioner Zargar's point about the 5-month window. What are the main areas that take up the bulk of that 5-month window, or what are opportunities for streamlining just based on your knowledge?
Well, part of it is, like I mentioned, the testing component. So like we'll have, say, 70 people that apply, and of those 7, you know, if we're doing a written exam, it would be a combination of maybe 10 people willing to test, and then 5 people actually showing up. So the numbers are low. It's also I hate to say it, but for the animal care attendants, they see a lot of them seem to be you know, also juggling like a full-time school, or, you know, working. And a lot of the times too, as well, as people are having their experience as Petco, but sometimes they're just, you know, I don't say it's just, but they're not necessarily handling animals. So that's also a big key. That's really a major you know, concern that was brought up by the department as well. Like we want them to be able to kind of gauge the behavior, not just, you know, under pleasant circumstances, right? And I think that's where we're kind of coming up. People are also working for like veterinary clinics, and not necessarily, and Petco, and not necessarily areas that do perform euthanasia, unfortunately, in shelter environments. So it was that fine line. It's just a matter of getting the enough folks to test, and then also, it just, yeah, I guess it's just like getting the people to test.
So just to clarify there, when you're saying getting people to test, the test itself sounds like it's a one-day affair, but is it the scheduling aspect of it that eats up a lot of time to coordinate the test? I'm just trying to understand what is eating up like a month of the 5-month process, or 3 weeks of the 5 month. Like what are the larger chunks, and why do they take up so much time?
Okay, for this one in particular, I would say that it's probably the written examination was probably the biggest one. Is just getting enough people. Like it's just, we're not necessarily going to test every month for 2 people, I guess I would say. I hate to say that. But what I did want to touch on to kind of speak to what you'd mentioned, or what was already mentioned, was the limitations onto the testing. One thing that would help that, and I don't know if it necessarily help with this recruitment, but we are also offering virtual examinations, and that is great because that is definitely candidate friendly, right? They don't have to even miss work. They can do it in the privacy of their own home. And so things like that are something that we're trying to do to kind of expand our process as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sure. Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Selena. Any other questions or comments on this? All right, and thank you, Janice, and everyone else. The public is now invited to comment on this item. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak on this item. I believe we have no public comments. Seeing that there are no questions, additional questions or comments, may I have a motion on this item? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Wu. A motion to abolish the animal care attendant employment register eligible list was made by Commissioner Wu. Can I have a second on this? We get a second from Commissioner Cortez. Candy, can you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar,
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez, did I lose you, Commissioner Cortez?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson, I'm sorry, Commissioner Thompson, it must be cutting on my end. Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
thank you. A motion to abolish the animal care attendant employment roster / eligible list was made by Commissioner Wu and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. The motion carries with 7 ayes. Jenny, I believe you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody and of course encourage everybody to come to the shelter to adopt a pet. We have a lot of wonderful dogs right now. Many of them are sponsored adoptions and many come with free virtual training. So we've got lots of animals. Come by, visit us, take a look, share with your friends. We need to find them homes. So thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Chair Wright, the motion carries and it carries with 7 ayes. I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Candy. Before we move on to the next action item, we haven't really formally introduced Selena because she's new and other commissioners walked in, it's like, oh, there's Selena. But I thought we could just give her just an opportunity so we could, formally introduce her and tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay. So my name's Selena Flores. I started in January, so I've been here almost 2 months now. But it's been a great experience so far. The city is very welcoming. I've been enjoying working on the HR team and with staff. So a little bit about my experience. I have over 20 years in HR, various facets of HR. I was an HR director at the town of Los Gatos prior to this. I worked at the city of Campbell as an HR analyst, and I've worked at the county of Santa Cruz for over 15 years in recruiting. So I do have a strong recruiting background and other HR skills. So that's a little bit about myself, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, welcome. We're honored
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Thank you.
All right, then we're going to move on to the next action item on the agenda. Item 5 is to review the revised job description for laborer. Presenting today is Janice Cahey, Human Resources Analyst. You're on, Janice.
Thank you, Chair Wright. Thank you, commissioners, for having me today and to speak about the revisions for labor. With me for the department, I actually have Alex Moreno and actually Director Alex Amiri as well, to discuss any questions that you might have for either the spec labor or utility worker or utility leader. You'll see after these presentations. All right, so for labor, this one here is a little bit more straightforward with the revisions. What we wanted to do essentially is just be a little bit more generous, because back when this spec was first created, first there was updates, as you noticed in the red line version, is it's no longer with the California Department of Health. It's now the oversight is over through the California State Water Resources Control Board. And so that's what we wanted to do, is mention that switch. And then also originally the spec said that the certification, the D1 certification, was required within 2 testing cycles. And 2 testing cycles after COVID actually was actually a little bit, since COVID, the testing cycles have evolved to be more frequent testing. So now 2 testing cycles is now equivalent to 6 months. So what we wanted to do is just spell it out in the job spec to just be required within 12 months from date of hire. And again, these are only for the incumbents that are hired into the water department or utility division. So only the laborers that are within this, assignment into these divisions would have this requirement to obtain the certification within 12 months of date of hire. And that was it for labor. Anybody have any questions?
Is this, okay, so you're discussing the revised job description on the labor, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All
For
right.
this.
And on this, it says, under essential qualifications, learn to drive various vehicles. Can that be more specific? Like, are there trucks involved or heavy equipment or anything? This is a laborer, so it's just learn to drive various vehicles.
I would say we want that generalized because there may be new types of vehicles that happen in the future
Right.
that are applicable to the job. So we want to be able to capture a wide range of vehicles.
Okay, and one other thing, it says under the special requirements, this is a laborer. And it says, prolonged periods of, let's see, prolonged periods of equipment, safely lift and move equipment materials weighing up to 75 pounds, okay? And this is a laborer, right? But then, not to get ahead of everybody, if you look on to page 89, you have a utilities field service manager who's not a laborer, it's saying in verbiage, weighing up to 90 pounds, special requirements. So why is the laborer only required to lift up to 75 pounds, but your utilities field services manager is required to weigh material up to 90 pounds? So I find that inconsistent.
Uh,
I can answer that question if you want.
thank you.
I mean, I'm not putting it on the spot here. What I'm looking for is consistency. And it's inconsistent on these positions on what you're on the weight limit requirement.
I understand that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. I apologize for not being there in person in this important evening. 3 days out of the year, I attend the conference, and it happens to be one of these days. I fully agree with you that 75 pounds can be universal for the laborer, utility worker 1, utility worker 2, and also senior utility worker. We can make that change and make it consistent at 75 pounds.
You were referring to which classification?
The laborer, because you have it at 75 pounds, but when you look at utilities field service manager, you have it at 90 pounds. So it's either one or the other.
That can also be 75 pounds. I agree.
Okay, so just a point of clarification here. When we get to that next position, that is at 90 is what you're saying. Will we be able tonight to make a motion with an amendment to make it 75?
Yes.
Okay, so if you'd like to make it consistent tonight later on, you're able.
Well, that's my point is the consistency. Is it 75 or is it 90?
Dr. Mary saying that it could be 75
Oh, so we're going to reduce the from 90 to 75.
if you want to later tonight.
I mean, it should be. I mean, because when you're reading through all of these job descriptions, when it comes down to requirements, it's inconsistent on that. There's inconsistency on specifying English language. This job doesn't, the next job does.
Aren't they different roles though?
There are different roles. So the laborer actually encompasses 4 different tracks of roles.
Exactly
And
right.
it could be, you could move into gardening, you can move into
Yes.
water facilities.
Exactly right.
The item you're referring to, I think, is in agenda item number 7. That one is specific to utilities.
Yes.
So that one's very specific to maybe moving, and Director Amiri, you can add on to this if this is incorrect, or you could add additional items. For utilities, they may be moving like sewer covers or things that are significantly heavier that would require that additional 15 pounds.
Exactly. Any other questions?
Uh,
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I was just gonna say and I'm just guessing, perhaps the other position that's a manager is a little higher because they might have to help out other people that they're overseeing. And so, yeah, I would think that the variation, since they're different roles, would be fine. I would be concerned if it was the same exact role. But since they're different, I would think that would be fine. And that it would be good to allow a little buffer in case they have to do something.
Exactly right. Because in some of the job descriptions, we would say lift with assistance, or whatever verbiage they use. And then also in some of these other qualifications, which is not in this one, and this is a very general one, it says maintain regular attendance and adhere to prescribed work schedule to conduct job responsibilities. And that's not in this one. So that's just what I look at as consistency when I lay all these out, that I feel that our goal is to get some consistency throughout these.
I agree. That is a standard expectation for everybody, is to
Right, but
maintain
it's
attendance. Yeah.
written in some of them, but it's not written in other ones. It's written, let's say, for example, in the laboratory manager job description, but it's not written in the labor.
They're different jobs.
But it's, that I know,
Yeah.
but the point is maintain regular attendance. Different job, you still maintain attendance.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I have a question. Why is that included in a job, in the, I guess the labor description? Why is attendance included? Because I have never seen.
I'm not saying that it's not included in here. It's included in other jobs that we're covering later on.
Oh, okay. So when we get there, I'll ask the
Yeah.
question, because I want to know why is attendance included?
Yeah.
In a job, in your job description.
Yeah, it'll be under,
I've never seen.
laboratory
that in a
manager.
Job description about attendance.
yeah, it's under laboratory. All right, any other questions on this? Oh,
I just want
Commissioner Cortez.
Yeah, I just kind of want to see where we stand. So I do agree with the whole attendance, like if attendance is mandatory just across the board, then it probably should be in every job description. Now, as for the weights, I don't mind if we make a motion to lower it to 75, but that's only if that is true. Like, if it is only 75, because then I don't want them to be in the job and then bam, there's something that's 90, and they're like, you know what, that's not on my job description, I'm not gonna pick that up. But if it's supposed to be 90 and it's 90 for a reason, then I guess we could just leave it as is, seeing as they're two different jobs. So that's where my confusion lies, and where do we stand on this?
Or if they get injured and say it said only
Yeah.
75 and it's.
Because if it's 75 and 75, it's like, I know like some office job, right? Like, oh, 25, get it,
Yeah.
lift the
It's
box.
35.
Or 35 or something, you gotta be able to lift the box or something that's coming in. But for these jobs, because I know labor jobs and you know, jobs like that, they do lift really heavy stuff.
Yes.
Where I know I wouldn't be able to lift it. So if there's a 75 or a 90, there may be a slight difference there for someone applying because they have a back injury or a leg injury or something. So if it is 90, it's supposed to be 90, then let's leave it as is. But if it's just 75 standard and we all, those who work in the department know, then we can probably make a motion to change.
For clarity, yeah.
Yeah, but for clarity, I was like,
Yeah.
where do we stand?
Well,
Absolutely.
I do know that in some of the previous job descriptions, when it came to the weight, you also would say, like with assistance or something, there was some other verbiage used that it was able to lift up to 75 pounds and with assistance of some sort that was said.
So it depends on the role.
Yeah.
If there are tools available on the job that would allow them to do that as a regular part of their role, that language would be included. Now, separately, if someone needs a reasonable accommodation in terms of a
Yeah.
restriction, that language would not be included in the job. To clarify, thank you for bringing that up. All of these job specs have been vetted through the representative unions, so they have agreed to the language, including all of the different weights in there. So if we were to change that, we would go back to the union, discuss if that is confirmed with them, if that's their understanding, and then we would come back to you at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that'd be nice.
All right.
And I
They
highly
have already
recommend that
agreed
we
to
don't
these
do
changes,
that.
though. So just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
The 90 is agreed to with the union, the 75 is agreed to with the union and the separate job specs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they go through a pre-employment physical?
Yes, yeah. Director Mary had a comment.
I was just going to say, I highly recommend that we do not postpone approval of this. We've been working on this for a long time, vetted through the unions, as was mentioned, and we request that you approve this the way it is. If there is a need to look into the weight and other aspects, we can do that after approval at the second round of reviews in the future.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners? Comments? All right, so we just reviewed the job description for the laborer. And we've covered all questions and comments. The public is now invited to comment on this item. No public comments, I see. So, okay, seeing there's no questions or comments from the public, may I have a motion on this?
All motion.
Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Zargar. May I have a second? What's the second?
Because I already seconded, go ahead.
Okay, we'll give that one to Thompson. So a motion reviews the job description for labor was made by Commissioner Cortez and seconded by Commissioner Thompson this time. Candy, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar,
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to review the revised job description for laborer was made by Commissioner Zargar and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. The motion carries with 7 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thanks again, Candy. Going to move on to the next action item on the agenda. Item 6 is to review the revised job description for the utility worker, water, and utility leader, water. Presenting today is Janice Cahey, Human Resources Analyst. You're on, Janice.
Hello, thank you again for having me today. The representatives from the department will be both Alex's, Dr. Amiri and also Alex Moreno, to discuss any of these changes. So just to make it a little bit easier to kind of digest, while both of these classifications did have various changes as it relates to the work and how it's assigned to the water division, you'll see in the red line version, the staff did make, or the department did make various changes as it relates to water. And so in doing so, originally this position was a utility worker. And then we branched out into the sewer and the water division. So now we've already taken care of the sewer division probably about 2 years now. And so now what we're doing is now creating the utility worker water classification. And so in doing so, we removed language that was referring to any sewer work. We've also revised the education requirement for the utility worker as a requirement from 8th grade and changed it to a 12th grade requirement now. 12th grade or the equivalent, I should say. And then also we added the California Water Resources Control Board D1 certification requirement to be required upon hire. Originally, we didn't actually have it as a requirement. And so in looking at these, this is, something that we were in reviewing this, we tried to take a look at all the other kind of jurisdictions in the area as well for something that's similar in these classifications. And it, we came to find that a D1 certification was required upon hire for all these other agencies. So we're really just trying to bring it up to like industry standards. And in doing so, that's what made us kind of correct the series as well. So it's utility worker and then also utility leader. Again, the changes to utility leader, not only was a retitle from utility leader to utility leader dash water. And again, we removed the language referring to the sewer work, but also added various language as it relates to the water assignment. And now, instead of requiring 2 years of experience, we are now requiring 3 years. And also here we added the Water Resource Control Board D2 certification to be required upon hire, because this too did not have a requirement for certification.
Thank you, Janice. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? I will just reconfirm, I know we can't make any changes obviously on this because Deputy Director Texan has told us that the unions have already ratified all of these job descriptions. But in this utility leader water under ability to, now we're saying perform heavy physical labor for an extended period of time. And we said the word heavy. And again, that weight limit's only 75 pounds. So now we're saying 75 pounds is heavy. I'm not wordsmithing this, but I'm just saying there's nothing we can do to change it because the unions have already ratified it. So do any commissioners have any comments, questions on this? Commissioner Thompson. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Edwards. I saw a hand go up there too. I'm sorry, Commissioner Edwards.
I'm gonna be embarrassed if it's in here and I missed it, which is probably the case, but why are we making these changes? Like from 8th to 12th grade education and 2 to 3 years, yeah.
The education, what we were trying to do is actually align it to the requirements to receive the certification. So the requirements for the certification is, while it is you have to have a GED or 12th grade education, there is some substitution allowed, but we wanted to streamline. Labor, we did keep it at the 8th grade education. We didn't change it for labor to use that as still like kind of a funnel, and we didn't it was agreed upon to not make that change. But for the utility worker, yes, we did make that change, mainly just to keep it streamlined and for the certification process as well. And additionally, and the main driving force for all of this as well is the certifications. Just the fact that they weren't on there to begin with, that we wanted to be like in compliance and just kind of have that up to par as far as like industry standards. So that was the main driver. And then while we were doing it, we took the opportunity to make these changes as needed as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? The public is now invited to comment on this item. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak on this item, and I see we have no public comments. Okay, seeing there's no additional questions, comments, or public comments, may I have a motion on this item? I make a motion to review the revised job description for utility worker, water utility leader, water, and may I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Cortez. Okay, a motion was made by Chair Wright to review the job description for utility worker, leader, water, and was made and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. Candy, can you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright.
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar.
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to review the revised job descriptions for utility worker water and utility leader water was made by Chair Wright and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. The motion carries with 7 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thank you, Candy. Let's move on to the next action item on the agenda. Item number 7 is to review revisions to the job descriptions for public works and utilities, including 7 classification revisions and 6 classification retitles and 4 new classifications. Presenting today is Ian Texan, Deputy Director of Human Resources. Ian, you're on.
Thank you, Chair Ray, and thank you, Commissioners. With me here this evening is Director of Public Works and Utilities, Alex Amiri, who can help answer any questions after the presentation. This agenda item covers 11 total classifications. 7 of those classifications are revisions. Of those 7, 6 will be retitled. The remaining 4 are new classifications. In general, the changes and additions are intended to address evolving business needs and complexity of operations, fostering an internal talent bench with promotional opportunities, and aiding in retention for current employees. We're going to divide this item into 3 different major categories. The first category are going to be the revisions and retitles to supervisor classifications in 2 sections of the Public Works and Utilities Department. Those sections are the Water Pollution Control Facility and the Utilities Operations and Maintenance sections. The second category we'll look at are the creation of a flexibly staffed classification series. That includes 1 revision and 1 new classification. And the last category we'll look at are the remaining new classifications that we're adding to the plan. All right, so the Public Works and Utilities classification changes that apply to the Water Pollution Control Facility and the Utilities and Operations Maintenance. These sections of the departments have the list of supervisors on the left on what you see on your chart here. Those are the current classifications. Part of these revisions are retitling and elevating those levels to a manager. to really emphasize and reflect the level of responsibility and oversight that they have for their respective sections. Changes to the classifications also align with the current standards and capture the evolution of the jobs performed over time. So you'll see, for example, the laboratory supervisor has edits and revisions, but it's also being retitled to the laboratory manager. The only one that has a significant title change outside of supervisor to manager is going to be the last item there, which is the utilities operations and maintenance supervisor. That is being retitled to the utilities electrical and mechanical operations and maintenance manager. Brief summary of that one. The next category we have is the creation of a flexibly staffed series. So this includes the development review specialist, which is a current classification. Revisions to this classification emphasize the distinguishing features between the current level, which is the journey level, and the addition of the new advanced journey level, which is the new classification we're introducing, the senior development review specialist. The advanced journey level will create a flexibly staffed classification series. Between the two, the department will be able to hire at either level, depending on experience. If someone is hired at the journey level, they'll have opportunity for growth and promotion into the senior level. This opens an additional path to promotion for qualified incumbents, and this creates an additional employment opportunity for anyone who qualifies, whether they're internal or external. And the last category of changes for this item are the remaining new classifications. So the first one we have up here is the water resources planner. This is housed in the water resources planning section of the utilities division. It's a journey level classification reporting to the water resources manager or another assigned management staff. This will manage non-engineering functions of projects such as phase 2 recycled water and groundwater sustainability, and they'll also assist with water conservation and water use efficiency efforts. The next new classification is the principal transportation engineer. This will be housed in the transportation division and is a mid-management level supporting the director and deputy director in representing and advocating for the city of Hayward at the regional level, providing day-to-day direction to lower level staff. This position is intended to create a deeper career ladder. There is an existing transportation engineer classification, and this creates a promotional opportunity for incumbents in that level. It also just creates another level for someone to come into the city if they were to qualify outside of the city. And the last new classification is the principal utilities engineer. This classification is housed in the utilities engineering section of the utilities division, is also a mid-management level supporting the utilities engineering manager. They'll provide day-to-day supervision of lower level staff and work closely with consultants and contractors to carry out work of the city. This position is intended to also create a deeper career ladder for those in the engineering staff. And with that high-level summary of these 11 classifications,
Wow.
I will turn that back to you, Chair Wright, for any questions.
Gee, thanks. Okay, commissioners, any questions or comments on all of this? Boy, that's a lot. Commissioner Thompson, lead us off.
I have a question. For the new positions, was that part of the fiscal year budget 23-24?
Is part of fiscal year 24, so it was already approved. Those positions were already approved.
Okay.
With what you covered, is that also were the laboratory managers involved?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where Commissioner Thompson, it's page 73, under job-related essential qualifications. That's where it says maintain regular attendance and adhere to prescribed work schedule to conduct job responsibilities. And so that's not put in these other job descriptions.
So I will offer, and then I'll open it up to Director Amiri for additional comment. The laboratory supervisor, I believe, is a very specific role that requires timing and review of lab materials. But Director Amiri, if you can speak a little more about that requirement.
Well, that's exactly right, that it requires timely preparing and submitting reports, supervising the chemist that works in the lab and the lab technicians. So this was something that was in the supervisor's job description. It was maintained in the new one as well.
Thank you. Councilman Syra?
Deputy Director Texan, so for the folks that are transitioning from supervisor into manager, will they be represented by HAME now? Is that the understanding?
Yes, they're currently represented by HAME. They will continue to be represented by HAME, and the current incumbents will move.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments on this? I have one more question. Deputy Director Texan. On the job description for laboratory manager, it says read, write, and comprehend the English language at a level necessary for effective job performance, exercising correct English usage, vocabulary, spelling, grammar, punctuation. And I know this is a very specific type of job as laboratory manager, but again, isn't this a basic requirement in all jobs throughout the city of Hayward?
It is. I will say that this may be language that's carried over from the original job spec that just wasn't pulled out.
Okay. Okay, and then also under the understanding that all of these job descriptions that we're approving, there's no changes really for us to really suggest making because the unions have already ratified and approved all of these, correct?
Well, to clarify, this body does make recommendations for changes. The union has already agreed to these changes. So if you say no to these changes, we would have to take it back to the union.
Okay, so then they have to press the restart button, which is
Correct.
like what length of time?
It depends. We are currently in a contract negotiation season with 5 different bargaining units. So scheduling may be a hindrance. As Director Mary stated, these classifications have been in works for a very long time and have been approved through the last fiscal year. So I would recommend that you approve these, but that is up to you to decide.
I totally get it, and I wouldn't want to stop anything that's already progressing. I'm just saying that, if there were things that were caught here, there's really nothing that we can do because we're kind of made to feel that, if you press the restart button, there's many, many months of having to start all over again. And why would any of us want to be in a position to do that? And I won't, but I sure have enough here to push a restart button, and I won't do that.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Without saying
Sorry.
no to this specifically, in the motion, we could also make an ask of HR in the next negotiation cycle to make note of the language you want reconsidered, so that input is part of the next process by order of this commission. So there is a way for you to introduce feedback and have staff take action without blocking this tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's iterative. So this isn't one and done. If we need to go back later after you approve this, we can always do that.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Director.
We have questions.
We have questions.
All right, we have questions. Commissioner Zargar.
Thank you.
Debbie?
So, in the interest of time, we're going, it's been some time now since we started the meeting, but I wanted to kind of reiterate what we've said previously about these certain situations where at the end of the day, we're not going to put a dead halt on business as usual, and kind of echoing what Councilmember Syrup said. If the city can take into account what we're saying, and if these job descriptions are going to be used in the future or whatever, that they ensure that those changes are made going forward, I think that suffices. It just, the whole formality of going through something where it's already been negotiated, we're obviously not in the interest, we're not trying to stop the process from happening, but the fact that we have to approve something, I don't like in my day-to-day work, I have to legally approve documents, and that means it's like a golden crown of legal has reviewed this and they have approved it, and I won't approve something if I don't like it. So, but at the same time, business has to go on as usual. So I think the concession here is like George said, like Councilmember Syrup said, as long as it's taken into account and changed the next time it comes around, our feedback has been incorporated already, I think that suffices. I just don't like the mechanism of we have to approve it, because obviously it's like we're approving something that we have some issues with. And that doesn't sit right with me. And the answer to me is that this doesn't even come to us. Like, we can review it and provide feedback, but I don't think we need to like approve. Approving something has a very formal sense. It denotes consensus. It denotes something that we obviously, have some issues with, or at least some members of us do. And obviously we haven't gotten to a vote yet, but I can say, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but if there's something wrong with whatever we're reading, I don't feel comfortable fully approving it. I provide fully comfortable providing my feedback, but that's just my opinion. So.
Well said, Commissioner Zargar, and I'm in alignment with that. Well said. Thank you. Commissioner Edwards.
Hopefully I didn't cut. I thought I saw a hand, but no, maybe not. I agree. I would just counter that I feel like there's certain things that wouldn't be appropriate for me to suggest changing, like the amount of weight someone's lifting if I'm not doing the job and I have no insights into the job. I just want to make sure that we're careful not to propose things that we don't have subject matter expertise in. Although, yes, it does seem a little silly to know that things are already kind of set in stone. I would just want to make sure that we're not doing things that we don't have enough information to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards.
This
We
is
have
great
assisted.
feedback for a subcommittee. So there's a subcommittee that's looking at the role in general for this commission. So we'll send that out again. We'll send the survey out with the information of what those subcommittees are. But again, like Councilmember Syrup said, you have an opportunity to shape the way that this this commission is used.
Yeah.
City Manager Blood.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing that Deputy Director Texan said, is that there's a way to change how the committee works, and that's through this subcommittee process. I also wanted to elevate, just once again, Councilmember Syrup's comments. There is a different process that can be undertaken to review these job descriptions and the standard language for consistency in a more wholesale manner instead of these one-off kind of conversations. And so the recommendation I think that Deputy Director Texan made is to move this forward, but maybe what we do is similar to the retreat, or maybe it's another subcommittee where we look at the language and standardize that stuff across the job descriptions, and then bring things to the union all kind of at one time, and then also come back and bring them to you. If this committee is still going to be, or commission is still going to be reviewing job descriptions after you conduct your subcommittee work. But I think that there's a different process, but I just wanted to make sure that people did not feel as though everything is set in stone and cannot be changed. There's just different mechanisms in order to get your feedback incorporated.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Youngblood. That's very appreciative. Thank you so much.
And just one last note to piggyback off of that, we have the future agenda items calendar too. And so if we want to make that a topic, whether that's within a subcommittee, just for the sake of time and everyone's time, and then we review what that committee works on, or if it's something we want to tackle as a subject in itself, we can always add that to the agenda calendar.
Thank you, Councilman Syrup. Any other questions, comments on this? Thank you. The public is now invited to comment on these items. Please raise your hand if you wish to comment, and we have no public comments. Okay, seeing there's no questions or comments, may I have a motion on this item?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thompson. May I have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Siddiqui. A motion to review revisions to the job descriptions for public works and utilities, including 7 classification revisions and 6 classification retitles and 4 new classifications, was made by Commissioner Thompson and seconded by Commissioner Siddiqui. Candy, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright.
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar.
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to review revisions to the job descriptions for Public Works and Utilities, including 7 classification revisions with 6 classification retitles and 4 new classifications, was made by Commissioner Thompson and seconded by Commissioner Siddiqui. The motion carries with 7 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thanks again, Candy. We're going to move on to the next action item that involves the Personnel Commission. And we are going to review and collectively, hopefully approve the proposed mission statement. And this is the mission statement that we all collectively worked on in our retreat in, was it November?
Yes.
In November. And we want to formally present this so that we can amend and accept it. So Deputy Director Ian, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Wright. Hello again, Commissioners.
Hello.
So the Personnel Commission held a retreat on November 7th, 2023. This retreat was facilitated by Civic Makers, Personnel Commissioners, HR staff, as well as other city staff, and our council member liaison was present. Thank you everyone for your participation and making that a very productive and meaningful meeting. The purpose of that meeting was to reimagine the role of the Personnel Commission. Part of that was crafting what the mission statement looks like. So we have it up on the screen. I'll just read it so we all have it. We are a nonpartisan volunteer commission that represents the people of Hayward and ensures the city of Hayward has equitable and inclusive hiring and job classification practices and a diverse workforce. We work continuously to ensure Hayward employees are making Hayward work for its residents and hold our city government accountable when needed. To do so, we review, advise, and approve the job classifications for employees at the city of Hayward, play an advisory role to Hayward's Human Resources Department and City Council regarding the city's organizational practices, ensure Hayward adheres to fairness and diversity in hiring principles outlined in its anti-discrimination task force, which is the commitment for equitable and compassionate community, advocate for excellence in hiring, and engage, inspire, and recruit the community to work for the city. So that is the proposed mission statement across 2 slides there. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Beautiful. This is what we all worked on. So it looks good to see the final up there after, you know, we wordsmith it and everything on the whiteboard, blankboard, whatever you call it. Any questions, comments from the commissioners on this? This is everything that we've worked on collectively that's in ink and gonna be in the city, whatever, you know, so we did it. So I'm very proud of that for all of us to doing that. Okay, so
Sorry.
Somebody had a question up there.
is there a question up there? We don't, but the screen's full of
I just said it looks amazing and I'm really proud that we pulled together such a great, mission statement.
Thank you, Commissioner Zargar. I'm very proud of all of us as well. I really am. It gives me goosebumps to see that.
Yeah, that was really good.
Or the way Ian presented it, you know. It's very, any questions, comments?
I'll defer to the commissioners first.
Commissioner?
I was just wondering where the mission statement's gonna go.
So we'll work with our city clerk to make sure it's posted where necessary. It'll definitely be on our website. And then we can have it in the specific areas for the Personnel Commission.
So it may be engraved on the wall.
Portraits of all of us.
Yeah, portraits, right? Glamour shot here.
Yes.
Councilman Syra.
So when folks look up the commissions or they're thinking of applying this description, it would be above, where the application button would be. So everyone interested in the Personnel Commission would at least see it there. I just had a few questions because you helped workshop this with Director Fry. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the first question would be, in the draft statement that we did with Civic Makers, it said equitable, inclusive hiring and human resources practices. And that's been changed to hiring and job classification practices. I was just curious if you could explain some of the rationale behind that change.
It was based on the notes that we all took during the meeting.
Got it. Okay.
And it was the notes that she had, the notes that I had, and they were both in alignment. That's what we ended up with.
Okay, great.
So it wasn't from one person's point of view.
Yeah.
I brought all my notes and she had hers, and that's what it came up to.
Got it. And then the second question I have, and this might be for Deputy Director Texan, is, I really like the second sentence of the initial statement. We work continuously to ensure Hayward employees are making Hayward work for its residents and hold our city government accountable when needed. Similar to some of the topics that came up in the past, and I'm just wondering how this lands to the HR profession. If we had some wording that's operating ethically, included in that sentence, is that too broad? Does that expose the commission? When we say work for its residents, that's very broad. And I like the broadness of it, but I also want there to be some kind of ethical implication where we're making sure the city is working ethically for its residents, or just to the note of some of the other topics you brought up in the past. I'm curious what the commissioner's thoughts are on that.
I think one of the things that Brittany and I discussed was the part of the wordage, not the verbiage, but the wordage was not to be disrespectful of anyone in the city of Hayward, but to have it readable that had a broader understanding.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting maybe too elevated in some of the language.
Yeah.
So it made it instead of making it vertical, it made it more horizontal.
Understood. So if you feel like, or I guess the question is, do you feel like and hold our city government accountable when needed encompasses that enough?
We thought so.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to hear your take on it.
I mean, I don't know if we can change it again, but I mean,
Hypothetically, somebody could make a motion to approve this with the amendment of like, one or two words changing, but we don't have to do that if everyone here feels content. I just wanted to pose that question and see how the commissioners felt about it. Yeah.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, I would say maybe accountable when needed. I would think maybe accountable period, like always. And then also with the ethical, it makes me think that something unethical was going on, so it might be a little
Good point.
yeah, but that could just be my mind.
No, your minds, see, we're representing people.
True.
We're representing the
True.
residents
Yeah.
and the community.
Yeah.
And so what's coming from your mind is
Yeah.
as a resident, community member. So don't discount that
Yeah.
because you're in the right frame of mind for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So could you put that back up there, Ian? I'm gonna call in Commissioner Thompson, but I was gonna have if he could put that back up there. There you go. All right, Commissioner Thompson.
I just wanted to piggyback off of Commissioner Edwards when needed. We need to take that out. That needs to be.
What part?
The part where it says, we'll hold our city government accountable when needed.
Just take when needed out.
Should just be always, right?
So I think the intention of that is that we are operating, the assumption is we are operating with accountability. But in the off chance that we aren't, this body will make the recommendation to say, well, wait a second, this is out of scope and you need to go back in line with it.
That's what Brittany had brought up, was at that point of view.
Can we look at that? I think I read it differently. Could we?
Just remember, folks, we did this in the,
True.
and we're here to, approve this and not to rewrite it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you said with that when you say that accountable when needed, that you guys are operating with accountability and it's only when needed. It kind of would have like a negative connotation to it if you take like away.
I don't like your comment about.
Yeah, about the
Yeah.
integrity.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I read it
Yeah,
as
yeah.
that the city government needs to be accountable when needed, not as.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, no, the government should always be accountable. I didn't read it as we escalate when needed. So that was, I think, and I think it could probably be read both ways.
Not to diminish the work that you've done on this.
Yeah.
Because once this goes in,
We're voting on this.
of course, once this goes in, it's gonna be a very, very long time before this changes again. So I think it's okay, we're spending a little bit of time, just asking ourselves, are we ready to write this in stone? I think it's great.
Could it be if needed? Anyway, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can we change when to as needed?
Or if? Oh, it's misleading.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like the government isn't
We
always.
all agreed on this.
No, we didn't agree on the exact
You
wording,
want to see
did
the
we?
notes?
We gave input into a draft statement.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was in the draft.
yeah, okay.
But my team didn't vote on the was needed, as needed.
Yeah.
So I would just say to help this along, somebody could motion with that amendment. And if there was a second, you would vote on the amended version of this. And if that did not pass, someone could motion for the original. It's up to the chair to call whenever the chair's ready to open up. All right, Laura.
Well, we can, if we're gonna make an amendment to this again, right?
We're gonna motion to, someone's gonna motion, right?
They're gonna motion to pass it with one small tweak. I think.
Okay, let's make a motion to pass it and we'll make an amendment to it. Because then we have to go back to another committee on this again. And we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't think you have to, if I'm not mistaken.
What committee?
Huh?
What committee would we have to go to?
It's a committee that I'm on with Brittany,
Gotcha. So,
with Director Fry.
Sammy, can we get a CAO input on that?
Please.
Muted.
Sorry about that. Can I just make sure I'm understanding? You want to amend, but you're wondering if you would have to go back to the committee? Can you?
I guess they want amend a word.
Yes.
What's the word, Commissioner Edwards?
we wanna, replace as with,
Place when.
replace when with as, right?
Sorry, Candy, could you
Wait.
pull that back up for us just so you can see it? Thank you.
I don't believe there's been a motion on this yet, though, right?
Right.
I think if you want to make a motion with the tweak, I'd say, I would recommend that someone make that motion, and if that passes, then you would not need to go back to do anything. You would be able to just move forward.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so who wants to make a motion?
I motion.
Okay, Commissioner Thompson making a motion to,
So here's that
I'm
one thing.
confused, make a motion to.
Can you
Yeah,
state your
we-
motion?
Yeah, yeah. See, I work in comms. I could happily spend like 4 hours on this, so I won't.
I'm not
weigh in.
Thank you.
I won't weigh in.
I'm not
Um,
making a motion, I'm just gonna make a comment.
Yeah.
I think it looks great, and I really love it. I was not there because I was really, really sick,
Really sick.
really, really sick.
Really sick.
Yeah. But I think that sentence there too, I think with, replacing as needed is fine. I guess where I get kind of tongue tied is when we say, we work continuously to ensure Hayward employees are making Hayward work for its residents. And I wondered if saying we work continuously to ensure Hayward employees are working for its residents and replacing with that just to cut it a little bit.
I hope someone's taking notice.
But it could just,
Because it kind of goes.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion. Right? Candy, are you hearing me? Okay, let's make the motion. So we're not gonna be here all evening going over a couple of words here. And so we're gonna make first, who wants to make a motion on this?
on what?
On accepting this? And then we're gonna make a motion to make an amendment? How are we gonna do
I
this,
think
Candy?
you have to make a
You make-
motion with the amendment.
Yes.
Right, I would suggest not making a motion to accept as is unless
Okay.
you're
Mhm.
satisfied with it as is. If you would like to, if you have amendments, I would recommend making those tweaks first, I'd say, and then making the amendment to accept with the proposed tweaks.
Okay, so we're gonna make the amendment first, then to accept the proposal for it.
So,
Okay, so the amendment needs to be made first. So,
sorry, just to clarify, there's only one motion, and the
Yes.
motion is to approve this with an amendment.
yes.
With
Yeah.
an amendment, yes.
But Commissioner Cortez's amendment was a different amendment that we didn't get a chance, so.
But it's it's one amendment, including both of your corrections is
Yeah,
what it
Gotcha.
is.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. But I was gonna say for employees, like I think of Hayward, like the library and like other things that aren't technically employees, so but again, can I make a motion to not approve?
So here's just to help with process. Commissioner Thompson has a motion to approve the statement with the amendment of changing the word when to as, that's it.
Mhm.
And if somebody seconds that, that would go to a vote. if you wanted to, as the maker of the motion, incorporate Commissioner Cortez's feedback and say, we're gonna approve this with the amendment that these two changes are made, somebody could second that and it could go to a vote. So it's up to you to decide what you want to put into this motion. Right now, it's just changing the word when into as. We haven't had conversation around the language that you wanted to incorporate.
So what Commissioner Thompson wants to make a motion to change the when to as,
And approve the statement with that.
and you want what?
Oh, mine was just to look at, maybe.
Not look at, say-
Well, shortening,
Yeah.
like we've worked continuously to ensure Hayward employees, this is what it
Well,
says
no,
right
okay,
now.
I know, but you say shorten it. Where do you want eliminated?
Oh, making Hayward. And then taking out those two words, making Hayward, and turning it into are working for its residents. And if not, that's fine. I do not.
I just, Chair Wright, I know it's getting late and we don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but we spend time on issues you want to talk about, right? So I don't think we should have to rush if we're not all comfortable.
Absolutely correct.
And if not, if we all read it as how it's fine, because then maybe there was more reasoning as to the sentence and how it was made, then I.
I agree with your statement by shortening it and just,
But you want to remove the and city government accountable.
no, I just like her
Okay.
statement.
So if I could read the sentence out just for, is that all right with you, Chair Wright? What I'm hearing is.
It's all yours.
What I'm hearing is Commissioner Thompson's motion is to approve this mission statement with the following amendment. That the second sentence be changed to read, we work continuously to ensure Hayward employees
Are working for its residents.
are working for its residents and hold our city government accountable as needed. That's the full statement. Do you agree with that?
That would be the full statement.
That's her change. that's
With
your
my change and or change.
Yes,
So that would be your motion.
yes,
Okay, and then you ask for a second here.
Okay, so Commissioner Thompson, you made that motion
yes,
through Councilman Syra.
yes.
So
They're not, I'm just a
I know, okay, I second it.
Could you just read it one more time?
I will read it again,
Just so we're clear on.
We work continuously to ensure Hayward employees are working for its residents and hold our city government accountable as needed. Did I get that correct? Okay. And this, I mean, I have no connection to this motion. I'm merely a mouthpiece.
Yes.
That bridge.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry to interject. I just grammatically, I wonder if you might want to say there instead of its, since residents are people.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Working for their residents and hold our city government accountable as needed.
We need a new
Yes.
motion, Bill.
Do you accept that adjustment?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so a motion to
motion on
review.
So just to clarify, the motion on the table is all of these changes incorporated into one.
Yes.
Amendment.
Yes, into, perfect.
Yes.
It's a great commission.
Sangeeta said it's perfect. All right, so a motion to review, approve, and make amendments to the proposed mission statement was made by Commissioner Thompson and seconded by
Cortez.
Commissioner Cortez, since you know, you
Yeah.
alluded to it. Thank you. Candy, please do a roll call vote.
You. I will now move to a roll call vote. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar,
But that she's not there.
she may have stepped away. Commissioner Cortez,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to review and approve the proposed mission statement with edits was made by Commissioner Thompson and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. The motion carries with 6 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thank you, Candy. Let's move on to the next action item on the agenda. It's item number 9. This item is a public hearing item to adopt the revised classification plan and review and recommend to council adoption of the revised salary plan for fiscal year 2024. Presenting this item is Ian Texan, Deputy Director of Human Resources. Ian, you're on again.
you and hello again.
Hello.
So this item wraps up all the items we reviewed today. And it includes the revisions, retitles, new classifications, and some additional adjustments that were not discussed in terms of the salary plan. So you'll see the first table on the screen here. These are from item number 7 earlier today. These are 4 new classifications. The fiscal impact is none because they were approved last fiscal year. And you'll see their respective increases for the salary setting. They'll either be above the level below them by 10%, or they will be initially set to a specific level like the water resources planner. The salary adjustments for the next batch in that second table there, this is related to a living wage ordinance, which was established in July 1999. These are interim classifications. So according to the ordinance, these should be updated every year. The last time they were actually updated was in 2019. So this is in effect a cleanup of that administrative error. So what we're doing is we're taking those living wage ordinances from each one of those years that were missed, and we're bringing them up to speed to create a 15.15% increase that will bring them current to today. And then the next slide will cover the supervisor classifications that were discussed in item number 7. You'll see that there was market research done to these, and the fiscal impact is outlined for each one respectively. Important to note that the bottom classification, the utilities operations and maintenance manager, was not discussed as a revision. This increase is due to a compaction with one of the reporting classifications that are being increased. And the item above that, which is the chief economic development officer, this salary is being increased to align with surrounding jurisdictions and address competition and retention in the classification. There's also a planned expansion of duties to include workforce development for that one. The increase is reflective of that. So with that, we recommend approving and recommending the salary plan and classification plan with these changes to move forward. And I'll send it back to you, right?
Thank you, Deputy Director Beckson. What was there a delay instead from doing this living wage ordinance?
I believe it was an administrative error. It was something we caught as we were reviewing it.
Okay.
The last time that those classifications salaries were updated was in 2019.
Thank you.
And they should have been updated every year.
Good thing you caught that one. Better late than not at all. So how was the 15% calculated?
So it's the CPI from each year.
Okay.
That's just totaled. So yeah.
Consumer price index.
Correct.
And then like the, all right. Okay, good. Because like usually like the general cost of living is you're running about 2.8 on an increase. So that the math works out. Any questions, comments from any of the commissioners? All right. Now it's time, the public is now invited to comment on this item. Please raise your hand. I don't think there's any public comments, Candy, at all on this again. All right, okay, seeing there's no questions or comments, may I have a motion to adopt the revised classification plan?
Motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. Commissioner Edwards, may I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. A motion to adopt the revised classification plan was made by Commissioner Edwards and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. Candy, please do a roll call vote.
When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright.
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar. Commissioner Cortez.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui. Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to adopt the revised classification plan was made by Commissioner Edwards and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. The motion carries with 6 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright, for the second part of the item.
Yes, thank you. Now, may I have a motion to recommend to council the adoption of the revised salary plan? I will make a motion to recommend to council the revised salary plan. And we have Commissioner Cortez right next to me. Have a second. A motion to recommend to council the adoption of the revised salary plan was made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. Candy, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. When I read your name, please respond with aye or no. Chair Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Zargar, Commissioner Cortez,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Siddiqui,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion to recommend to council the adoption of the revised salary plan was made by Chair Wright and seconded by Commissioner Cortez. The motion carries with 6 ayes. I turn it back to you, Chair Wright.
Thanks once again, Candy. Now it's time to move on to announcements by staff and the commission. The first report is from our city council liaison, Councilman Member Syra. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Wright. First, just want to express my gratitude to staff and the commissioners tonight. This mission, I feel like, has really grown into itself over the past year as I've been able to participate with it. And it's really delightful to see everyone engaging with the content through the retreat and what will come after this, both in the committees and beyond. And then I would be remiss to say, and I believe the chair would give me a hard time if I didn't mention that there is an art show tomorrow night downstairs in the John O. Lake Gallery. It's HUSDC that's putting on art. So if you have students in the district and you're interested in having to get involved with the arts through the Arts Council, it's a great opportunity to meet board members there and just see some of the artwork that our students are producing. So I encourage you all to attend 5 to 7 p.m. tomorrow night downstairs in the John O. Lake Gallery. Thank you.
And refreshments are served. They're great refreshments. Of course, there'll be light refreshments for the students. When they have the adult ones, it's other refreshments. All right. Thank you, Councilman Syra. Now, are there any questions for Councilman Syra concerning anything while he's here? Nope. Thank you. The next report is from the Deputy Director of Human Resources, Deputy Director Texan. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Wright. One announcement to make, there is a Hayward College Night event hosted by the Hayward Unified School District happening here in City Hall. That event is going to happen on Wednesday, March 20th from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. We will be present there, just advocating as an employer. We'll advocate as an employer to see if we're interested in skills. We encourage everyone to stop by and take a look at what's happening.
When is this?
This is next Wednesday, March 20th from 4:30 to 7 p.m.
Here.
Yes,
In the
in the rotunda.
And the rotunda. All right. Any questions for Deputy Director Texan? All right. Thank you, Deputy Director Texan. Now, are there any other new announcements from the commissioners? Any news? Collectively, again, I want to welcome Selena.
Thank you.
You know, it's great to have you, and you see our working thing here. So thanks for being here. And the next regular Personnel Commission meeting will be held on June 13th. But, you know, always kind of keep yourself ready for that email, maybe calling for a special meeting, you know, just saying. All right. With no further comments or questions, this meeting is adjourned at 7:25 p.m.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. We have made it 7:30.
Well, when I saw the packet, I said, you know what?
That's why I said mine's on there. Erica, we too, I said 7:30. I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Before.
I was a community services commission fire. I was always curious about this one, so I got assigned to it. I was excited to learn about what it does and then realized what
Yeah.
okay, fun.
How did you, and then you have to run or something?
For council, yeah, it's like a public election. Yeah, so a lot of people start on any of the commissions that try to work their way into planning, which make a lot of sense there around development.
Fully recovered.
And, yeah, it's kind of special. When we're retired, they get this. Most of our council members come to you.
I was.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Scary.
Me, I probably had like.
Have a nice night.
You too.
It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you guys. You're the best.
Yeah, that's perfect. Everybody do the same. I lost it, no, I don't. No, I have, the other one's in the car. I have it. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Okay.
And you got a sound in time too.
Thank you so much.
But I lost it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.